Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Tacoma SRT5 coming back at you with the porting and polishing follow-up video to the boring video, boring out of the intake elbow for my 2003 Mercury Grand Marquis. We'll do a camera flip, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here we have the intake elbow. This sits on top of the motor. We'll go over here. And you won't be able to see, but that's okay. This is roughly where it sits, right in the middle, on top of the engine, faces the driver's side. So we used an engine hone to make the hole larger, and that was in the last video. And then I got this idea, how can I clean this up and make it even smoother? I stopped by Harbor Freight. This is, or was, a 4-inch polishing, I think it's a buffing wheel, technically they call it, I'm not sure. But you can see the stitching here, and you can see where the stitching used to be. I had to cut the stitching out for it to be pliable enough, squishy enough to fit down into the bore. But once it got going, it worked real well. And what we used is a heavy-duty rubbing compound, and we used that for quite a while. Cleaned it up, and then a polish, and it could be done a whole lot better, but this is miles from where it started. And then I'll try and stand this up and show you what I did. You'll see the gasket is now fitting, and to mess with the gasket, we're not gonna cut into it like this. I don't have any pressure on it, but just showing you here, because that's going to create gouges and possible screw-ups. So what I did is just back dragged. I drag the blade and do it at an angle here, and see if I can clean it up just a little bit more so you can see. This is all I did, just keep back dragging, and I went from the stock size hole to just barely outside the lip. I didn't want any restriction. Hold it about a 45-degree angle and just drag. I don't know if you can see if that's doing anything or not. Let's see here. It took me probably about 15 minutes of doing this all the way around. And you see it'll start coming up like this. Just wipe it away and it's gone. Push it down about a 45-degree angle, both into the hole and on as far as you're dragging. I don't know how technical it has to be, but you just keep doing it and it wears away at the gasket. This is the factory gasket. I'm going to be reusing it because I'm cheap like that. That's how I made it fit, and that's how this new 75mm intake, throttle body is going to fit. Fits right over it perfectly. I used an engine hone. It was a 4-inch engine hone, so you can adjust the tension on the spring, and I just kept going and measuring and going and measuring, and I didn't want to go too much, so I stopped, and then this is where I started to polish. And it's really nice and smooth down in here. Polished it up, cleaned it up, got most of the dirt out that was willing to come out. This stuff, man, I tried everything on this. This at the very end, and it just doesn't want to come off. So, yeah, round one, making the hole bigger. You want the gasket off of there, obviously. Engine hone, use it, measure it, use it, measure it. Get it as close as you're going to be. If you have a 73mm or a 70mm throttle body, the closer you can get it to match the back side of your throttle body. Let's see here. There's a new one, and there's the old one. So you can see how much bigger it is. I mean, the outside of this one fits inside of that one. So you want it to match perfectly. You want the gasket to match perfectly so there's no screw-ups. And this goes towards the firewall. This goes towards the driver's side. I got the screws in place to hold the gasket in place while I was shaving down around the edge, and that fits perfectly. This is a eBay item. I couldn't even give you the number, but it was 35 bucks. It's pretty well made. That's my OEM, or the sensor that was on it, throttle body sensor. That was already there. Linkage works. I can do this one-handed here. And man, that came out real well. And that's the route I took instead of spending 300 some odd dollars on a BBK intake. Hope this is worth something to somebody and able to help somebody out, maybe help somebody save a few dollars. Again, man, I'm really rambling. I'm sorry. I'm tired. Engine hone. Put it on your drill, spin it in there, measure it, spin it, measure it. I ended up using most of the stone until one of them actually broke, and then that was the point that I stopped, which was coincidentally very, very, very close. And then I polished with rubbing compound, and then I polished with regular white diamond polish. And this was the only tool I used for polishing both. I just cleaned it. Well, it's dirty, but cleaned it, polished, and that's it, man. Just a drill, a polishing, buffing wheel, and an engine hone. This was about $5. That was probably $10 between the two. This was $35, and my Milwaukee drill was about $100. But you can, if you have a drill, you can do it. You can use a $5 drill. You can use a $100 drill. Really doesn't matter. Again, hope this helps somebody. I'm really trying to work on making better videos for you guys, so please consider liking and subscribing and making suggestions as to what you might like to see, what I can do for you, how I'm able to help you along the way. Have a good night. Be safe.